Olsen here for you. We'll start with just your overall thoughts on this Game 2 matchup coming out of Game 1 in Seattle now, coming back home to do or die match here for the team.
Looking forward to coming back home. It's pretty simple. And we feel good about some parts of the performance away, and that we brought them to penalty kicks, in particular with the circumstances. So we bring a little confidence in that part, but with the understanding that we got to win this game and we got to score some goals. So just finding that balance and making sure they're clear on the game plan and the little tweaks. Both teams know each other very well at this point. We've seen each other twice in the last month, so no real secrets. Just really tweaks at this point, probably from both teams. Both teams good defensively the other night, not great offensively, and I think both teams will be looking to kind of fix that part and continue with the defensive, solid performances that were put on display. But again, excited, right? We know we're going to have a great crowd. We're on our grass. We're in our building, and hopefully we bring our best because that's what it'll take.
All right, we'll with Herman. Go ahead.
Hey, man, good to see you. Just if you could elaborate a little bit more on those insights or takeaways from Game 1 that you can help you win Game 2.
I'm keeping it very vague for reasons, and as I said, I don't know. I don't know if there's a lot. Really, when you get too granular on the game, it was again two really good defensive teams. The red card changed the game, so it pushed us back even further, and offensively. Again, I thought both teams weren't great offensively, and but I'm not concerned with their offense. What we can do is be a little bit cleaner on the ball and clean up some of the decision making to allow us to get more numbers in their half and more joy and more opportunities. So that's, I guess, but it's not much more than that. There's no secret to this, and we've been able to do that for the most part at home, actually from most of the games at home, and create better chances than the opponent, and that's one side of it. And then the other side is you got to be opportunistic and finish some plays off.
And then a little on Seattle, do you anticipate they will be as aggressive on the road as they were back home, or do you expect them to sit back and absorb some of that pressure?
I think where their line is, it depends on, how they do on the offensive side. Are we pushed back? And there's a lot depends on that. But their initial structure, I'm not sure. It could be the same. It could be pushed back a little bit because of the situation. But what they do in their initial setup and how they trigger and things like this will be similar, I'm sure. But again, it's a good team, whether they're higher up, because again their possession allowed them to be higher up, or if they're lower because we've pushed them back. The theme with them, and somewhat the theme with us, is it's a very good defensive team. It's tough to break down, so you got to be clean, and you a little bit of a numbers game, and you also have to just continue with some of those sustained possessions to get the looks you want, and then you're not going to get a lot. I've said this last week before we met them again, and said it all week this week. You're not going to get a lot, so you got to be opportunistic with it.
And my last question is, our listeners voted Seba Kovacic as the most improved player in their eyes for this 2024 season. I just want to ask you about him. How can he help the team offensively? What he brings on the pitch when he gets the opportunity to play?
Well, I think that's a really good choice from the fans. I think I would agree with that. I would vote for him as well. Super busy, relentless in his work rate, both on the ball and off. And when you start there, that's a good place to begin with a player. Then you bring in his quality and his technical ability, his ability to find space and turn and create numbers up opportunities. He's been great this year, and he's filled a big role, from whether he's been starting and playing different spots or as a reserve, and you need those versatile pieces. He's been great.
Thank you, Coach.
With this being a do or die type scenario for you guys, what gives you the confidence in this group when their backs are against the wall?
Just the historical nature of what I've seen so far with this group, and when the chips are down or there's an opportunity in front of us that, is asking us to raise to that level or that moment, this team usually does it. And we'll see. We can talk about the history all you want or what we've done in the past. It's about the moment and putting our best group out there, and individually, collective, we're going to have to be at our best to win this game. It's going to have to be one of the best performances of the year. And if we get through them, then it's going to have to be the next best performance of the year in Seattle. It's one at a time, and it's just that time of the year. Everybody has to show up and be at their best. You can't have 2 or 3 guys that aren't playing at the level they're capable of and win playoff games. And that's including the coach. The coach has to be at his best, and the staff. And it takes everything here to get by a good team in Seattle. But again, it's a challenge I think these guys are very much looking forward to.
Coach,
Jorge and Chris over
good
here.
afternoon. Just how's the next man up prepared to fill in for a spot like Coco's, who will be missing the next
We've
game?
done it all year. Hector's missed half the year. Ferrera's been out. Coco, national team. I mean, everybody's been hurt or suspended or injured throughout the whole year. And that's in part why I'm so proud of being in this position with this group. But everybody's been in that spot. Throughout the season, a journey. Again, this one's been different. I've talked about it. It's been a different sophomore year compared to the kind of the freshman year last year, where things really went our way. Injuries and momentum, weather in the summer. This year's been different challenges, and that's the MLS. That's the seasons that come at you as an organization. I think we've weathered it for the most part very well to get to this point. Now we just gotta, but none of that matters now. It's about if it's your turn to step up, you come up, and as I said before, you're at your best, and you give us your best. And I have no doubt that we're deeper because of that. Some of the ups and downs and the choppiness of the season, we're deeper because of it, both tactically and individually. So we'll see if that translates on the weekend.
And if you were to win on Sunday, you extend another week. Just how do you feel about that with the playoff format, with the huge gap in between the next game, the next round?
Yeah, I don't know. I've said this before too. I've been in this league long enough where I've seen 10 different iterations of this playoff format. This is just the one in front of us, so it doesn't. I got enough to worry about than to worry about the playoffs and trying to fix this stuff. It's a 3-game series. That's all I know. That's all the players know. That's all we talk about. How do you solve that? You solve that by winning 2 of the games, and the first obstacle is to win a game at home, and that's where all our focus is. So I'm not too concerned with it. And then the break is the break. We're used to this. MLS playoffs always finds itself in these kind of choppy times with the break in there, and I don't think anybody loves it, but it's just the way our season is set up. It's the timing of our league. It's just what it is.
Thank you, Coach.
Yep, go ahead.
With the tumultuous relationship with Seattle, both in the present and in many years past, and our red cards, how do you stop disciplinary issues before they begin? How do you inspire them to defend without losing their heads and putting hands on faces?
Yeah, well, he didn't get the red card. I found out afterwards, the next day, that he didn't get the red card for the hands on the face. It was a kick out, and Coco's got to be smarter than that. And, I still think it's one of those, if he doesn't get them, could you look the other way? Yeah, sometimes in playoffs I think refs can look the other way, and I think they should. But if you put yourself in these situations nowadays, you give them the opportunity to throw you out and put your team at a disadvantage, and in a very important game. And so in the end, it's on Coco. And maybe you can put it on me, but our discipline record against them has been very poor. I would argue very few of them are warranted. So I don't think it's this Seattle, oh, we're getting red cards because of really nasty tackles. They're bad second yellows. I found most of them light, and they didn't need to happen. And again, there's been so many of these, yeah, maybe, and maybe not. And so many times against them, it's called as a second yellow or a red, and the benefit of the doubt is not given to us. So it's a concern, but I don't think it has to do with us being violent or super egregious. I think it's just been circumstantial, and I think frankly, it's been some poor refereeing that has not helped us in these games against Seattle over the past. I've only been here for 2 years, and there's been plenty of red cards. What, 4 or 5? I don't know.
And then lastly, with one last chance to make an impact to the person sitting on their butts in the stadium at the game, what do you say to them?
Scream, make this environment as unwelcoming to the Seattle players as possible. We need it. That's what we get all around the country when we go, and again, just make it an atmosphere similar to LA Galaxy, and they will. They know what to do. They've been there before, and they were with us last year around this time, and they gave us a big boost and the right atmosphere to have success, and I anticipate them doing the same.
All right, we'll jump to Zoom. We'll go start with Danielle, and then Dustin, go ahead.
The adaptability that you talked about having to work with all season with various guys being out, was there a particular stretch that you feel like you guys really weathered particularly well that has now prepared you for what you're facing in the playoffs?
There was no real moment where we were 3 losses in a row and it was turbulent and we were questioning who we are and what we're doing. There wasn't any come to Jesus this year in that way. There was a lot of little moments throughout the year. Again, even losing Hector for the first few months, and having to tactically shift a little bit when Ferreira went down. And again, let me be clear: we're not unique in this. Every coach is going to stand up here at this point because the nature of these seasons are always ups and downs, and again, every kind of year's journey is different. So this one was just, again, choppy right on through. And I'm comparing it mostly to last year, where it was just smooth sailing and we got better and more clear, and the injury situation was very good last year. So things really went our way last year. So we always anticipated this second year being more tricky. And so, again, to go back to your original question, nothing in particular, one area. It was just a different rhythm to this season, and that happens. And I'm just proud that we were able to use a bunch of different guys. A lot of different guys contributed to get to this point, and hopefully now we're in this mix. We can rely on a bunch of guys. We're deeper. We're more resilient for it.
Thank you.
All right, Dustin, go ahead.
Hey, with Jordan Morris' injury and Rui Diaz coming in, does it change the way Seattle plays, and in turn, does it kind of change the way that you guys play against them?
Yes, and yes. If Rui Diaz starts, it's in some ways he's the complete opposite of Jordan Morris. So they have a bunch of different qualities. They're certainly different profile players, and that means what they can do. And what they can't do, that's relatable to as far as thinking about that and how that changes in their attack and the way they defend. So we spend some time with that, but they also have other players they could use if they wanted to go more like for like. So we're not necessarily sure how it'll go, but if he does play, yes, it does change kind of how you go about the game.
And then just, you guys have a very veteran team, a lot of leaders on the team. What is the message to these guys? I mean, they've kind of all been there, done that, right? What is the message going into a must-win game like this?
To win? Genius, huh? I'm a genius. I'm not. These guys don't need any messaging right now other than prepping them for what we can do to win this game. And everything is about making sure they're clear on how we do that, the scenarios that we may be put in this game, to send this back to Seattle.